Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day. I am very happy to have you here in my metal workshop because today is the day of a new tool. A new tool I was waiting for since I ever watched this old Tony the first time. Definitely have to recommend him. So today is the day of this new tool. Well, yes, you're right. That's absolutely not a new tool, but a new to me tool. And even if it's already about 50 years old, it's still in a fairly good shape and I'm very excited about it. But that it's in a good shape doesn't mean that I don't have to fix anything about it. And the first thing to fix is the electricity. So right now it doesn't run at all because the motor is not wired up, but I could check the mechanics by turning this manually and they all seem to work. That's very good. But now to test it properly I have to wire up all the electrics. These are all the electronic parts that used to be on this machine, and I will try to stay with this main switch, as from inside it looks like it's still in a fairly good condition. And I really like this snapping. And of course the design fits the machine much better than any new part I could get. But this is somehow a safety switch that protects the motor from burning if I'm pushing the lathe too hard. And this looks kind of funky. So I'm replacing it with a 50 years younger version of it that does the exact same job. So now there's just one problem. All the electronics belong to the backside of this machine. And right now I can't really reach it comfortable. So I kind of have to move this heavy machine by my own. That's quite impossible, but I have my lifting table. So I will try to lift this machine like it is with this lifting table. Let's see how that works. So the problem is that I want to push the lifting table in this direction, but then this wheel wants to turn in this direction and collides with the lathe. So the idea now is to lift the lifting table with the car jack slightly over here so that I can turn this wheel in the other direction till it's over here in the back, so I'm able to push everything over there. So that worked surprisingly well. And I definitely had to push the jack harder than lifting my car. So the caster is now turned around, that's very good, but I made a story about that on Instagram and I got instantly the message that I should just lift the lathe a little higher so that the caster can turn underneath. And that's of course the much better solution, but now I'm already done, so both would probably work. So the space is obviously too small to turn this as one piece, but this tabletop just fits in this shelf. 9! Same problem again, but now I will just lift it higher. And I can get out of the shelf again. Very nice. So now that I can reach everything, I started to clean it, at least the left half where all the electrics will come into. And I also already had a look at the backside of the switch to check if everything is wired up correctly, and it seems to be right. When I had a look at the backside of the machine to check where all the original parts should go, I recognized that there are already a lot of holes in the housing, so the electrics probably already have changed sometimes, and the parts I have may not be the original parts anymore. But I still want to use this main switch, and this probably belongs over here just by the hole pattern of the housing. And the bigger box that the protection of the motor was in probably was over here. But I will have to figure out if I will use this again for the new switch. This machine did not meant to have an emergency stop, but as I'm redoing all the electrics, I thought that would be a great opportunity to add one. But at first I didn't want to make any changes to the housing, so when I add an emergency stop anywhere, I would have needed some holes to connect it to the electrics of the machine. But when I saw all the added holes in the back, I thought, okay, let's just do it and put an emergency stop over here. And the idea is to make the protection switch for the motor also to be the emergency stop. So I designed these parts. This side gets mounted to the lathe, and the switch can sit in here, and the top gets mounted through these nuts that I already inserted with some heat. And this top also holds this switch properly in place. And then we have the emergency button that I can just clip in here, and when the button gets pushed, this pin then pushes the red button of the switch. And yes, it's a little bit confusing that this all is green and not red, what you normally would expect from an emergency stop, but unfortunately I didn't have the right color of filament, so I had to use this. And maybe I will just coat this red or put a sticker on there or something. We will figure that out in future. So, moment of truth. Everything is wired up. I have the plug, so let's put it in there and hope for the best. So now that I know that the motor is running fine, I strip most of it apart to give it a basic cleaning. And when assembling it back together again, I make sure to get rid of all the play. I won't give it a proper paint job, as I don't have time right now for that, as a ton of other projects are waiting. And I want to thank you for this new piece of equipment over here that you may recognize in my new videos, that you paid for with buying the plans for this lifting table. Thanks a lot for that, and I'm already receiving some messages from some of you who are building this lifting table already. That's the absolute best thing in the world. Thank you very much for that. I'm very happy. So now let's go on with stripping this apart, cleaning it and getting it back together and running again. Isn't it awesome to have wood and metalworking tools? Yes, it's gorgeous. So now I'm finished with cleaning this machine, so I can finally put it back in its place. But at first I have to tidy a little bit up this shop. It's quite a mess in here, so let's go ahead and do that. And it's finally done. The lathe is back in place over here and basically clean or roughly cleaned. So it's definitely good enough to get some work done now with it. And have a look at this gorgeous emergency stop. Isn't it beautiful? Perfect color match between the stop and the lathe itself. Not, but it's a tool. It's not there for looking good, it's there to get some work done. But you're right, a nice looking tool is always better. And it was also the first decent lifting job for my little baby here that made an awesome job in lifting my new little lathe. And I'm very happy I've built this so heavy duty so that it can do stuff like lifting heavy tools. And if you want to have a table like this in your shop, you can definitely build it your own, as it was my ever first metalworking project. And if you want to do that, go into the description and check out the link for the plans of this lifting table. Thanks a lot for watching, good luck with your projects and see you on the next one.